So arbitration is a sensible suggestion which it is worth discussing. So welcome to our another career talk session where we provide career guidance relating to different career options. Today I would like to welcome our guest lecturer Mr. Kartik Sharma sir, who will guide us about career in arbitration. So firstly I would like you to introduce us.
I'm Kartik Sharma and I'm an advocate practicing in New Delhi. I graduated from Amity Law School, Delhi in 2020, and it was during my law school that I developed an interest in arbitration, both domestic and international. Currently, I'm working as an associate with the office of Mr. Justice Sarvesh Gupta, who is an arbitrator. He's a retired judge of Uttarakhand High Court.
Okay, great. Okay, so I would like to start with the first question. So the first question is, what is arbitration and how does it work?
So arbitration essentially is a dispute resolution method alternate to litigation where parties to dispute agree to send their dispute to a neutral judge whose decision is binding. What you have to understand here is the most important principle of arbitration is party autonomy. Party autonomy in arbitration refers to the party's right to agree to settle a dispute through a specific procedure. While parties enter into an arbitration agreement, they themselves decide, unlike in litigation, they themselves decide that who will be the arbitrator and how will be the arbitration proceeding commence. They might refer their dispute to an institute that will appoint the arbitrator, or they might uh, appoint the arbitrator themselves. So essentially, arbitration allows parties to fix the procedure of dispute resolution, unlike litigation, and that is the reason why parties in today's time choose to refer their disputes to arbitration over litigation.
Okay, great, sir. Sir, can you share some of your experiences, your work experience in working with the Arbitration Association?
So I started working with the arbitrator in April itself. And during this course of time, I have had the opportunity of working on only three arbitrations. But before that, I was working with the lawyer, Mr. Soham Kumar, and I worked at few arbitration matters there as a counsel. So, first, I would like to point out that working with an arbitrator is very different than working with a counsel. So, when you're working with an arbitrator, you are essentially performing a secretariat function and you will be working as a secretary to the tribunal. Your scope of work can include technical work such as assisting the arbitrator with conducting arbitration proceedings, and it can also include briefing him on the submissions made by the parties and researching on various aspects of laws. These laws are not restricted to arbitration laws. As you must be aware, arbitration is just a procedural aspect. The law can, or the law of the subject matter of the dispute can be very different. So for an arbitration, you might be required to research into various different aspects of commercial law or a specific subject. So, as an associate with an arbitrator, I essentially perform the function of being a research associate as well as briefing him on various different submissions made by the party or various different arguments that are happening in the arbitration.
Okay, great, sir. Okay, sir, qualifications and skills plays a very vital role in a student's life. So what are the minimum qualifications and skills required to become an arbitrator?
So there has been various amendments in the past few years regarding qualification of an arbitrator. So firstly, in 2019, there was an amendment introduced through which only an Indian national and essentially lawyers, chartered accountants, government officials with the required number of experience, that is 10 years, was an essential qualification for a person to be appointed an arbitrator. This was reflected in Section 43J and in the 8th schedule of the Arbitration Act. But This amendment was proved to be a hurdle in India's step to become an arbitration hub. So, with the introduction of 2021 amendment, uh, that amendment has now repealed this requirement, and now even a foreign person can be appointed an arbitrator. And and the law that the 2019 amendment provided regarding the minimum number of years of experience has been repealed now. So the eighth schedule currently does not play a role in the Arbitration Act. But still, there are basic skills that are required for an arbitrator, such as it is vital for an arbitrator to have some number of experience to be able to decide a dispute. If you don't have an experience, it is very difficult for parties to trust you with the dispute resolution mechanism. Secondly, arbitrators need to have a very good communication skills. They should be able to explain their view and also be able to listen to what parties or the councils have to say. Secondly, it is essential for them to have very good writing skills because, as you know, an arbitration award is final and cannot be appealed on its merits. It is only under Section 34, where various grounds have been laid, that the arbitration agreement can be challenged. So, it is very important for the arbitrators to provide an extensive reasoning of their decision in an arbitration award and to write it in such a way that the position of law is explained really well.
Very well explained, sir. So, next question is, how can law students prepare themselves for a career in arbitration?
So that is a very good question asked by various people. As I'm sure many of us have experienced, people who are interested in pursuing arbitration as a career, while interning, we see that most lawyers in India do not only focus their work on arbitration. There is litigation and arbitration go hand in hand. So first and foremost, advice I can give is try to work with a lawyer who does as much arbitration as possible, because the experience you get while working on a matter, your books or your college cannot give you the same experience. Those learning will remain with you for life. Secondly, one of the advice that one of my seniors gave me was try to reflect in your resume that you have an interest in arbitration. Now, this can be done firstly by pursuing arbitration related courses in your law school, whether international or domestic. Most of them are compulsory now, but for example, in my law school, I had an option of deciding whether I want to pursue international commercial law or not, and I decided to do the same. The next advice I would give is try to read as much as you can. So, arbitration law has been subject to various amendments in the past, and every year there is a new amendment, and with that amendment, there is a view given by the judiciary. So, you need to read a lot of judgments and a lot of laws and articles related to amendments or even provisions of the Arbitration Act that have been laid down by the 96 Act. The next advice is that I would give is start writing articles. It is not, maybe your first article won't be published, or won't it won't be accepted by an international publication, but you will get there. Just start writing, and that can come only by reading. So reading and writing go hand in hand. Next advice I would give is try to join communities and young arbitration groups, such as Young International Arbitration Group by the London Court of International Arbitration, then the Young Arbitration Group of Mumbai International Arbitration Center, and Young Arbitration Forum. So these groups provide a platform for you to stay updated with what's going on in the field of arbitration globally, and it also allows you to get a presence in the arbitration community. So if you're publishing a blog or if you're writing in a publication of any of these community, people who are working in arbitration around the globe will get to know about your work and start recognizing you.
So the next question is that what one have to learn to be an outstanding arbitrator?
Do you mean as outstanding arbitration counsel or
Yeah, that only.
so? Maybe my advice will not be right in this aspect because I've only had the experience of working for only 1 year. But from what I have seen and from what I have gathered is a lawyer who wants to specialize in arbitration firstly has to be aware and has to have a habit of going beyond his knowledge. So, learning cannot be restricted only to your classroom. Maybe you'll have to work on a matter related to energy law or maybe related to technology. And as a law student or as a lawyer, you would not be aware of those aspects, that those technical knowledge. So you need to first be open to gathering knowledge and open to learning every day. Secondly, what my suggestion would be is we need more and more lawyers that are focusing their practice on arbitration. From what I have seen in my experience is lawyers try to tend their lawyers tend to put their arbitration cases on backhand and try to focus on litigation matters. Now, it is essential that arbitration matters should be given equal importance as litigation, and that is one step that lawyers who are currently working in arbitration law should take.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, yeah, so what are the new job opportunities in arbitration?
So there are various job opportunities today with India's aim to become a global arbitration hub. Firstly, of course, it is working as a counsel or working with the counsel who's doing a lot of arbitration matters. That will always remain an option open for everyone. But with how arbitration has become popular, there are various other options open for law students that they can uh, maybe consider. Second option they can maybe pursue is working with an arbitration institute. So today, India has about two or three popular arbitration institutes, such as the Delhi International Arbitration Center, or not restricting our conversation to India, but globally there are various arbitration institutes that currently require people and employ a lot of law graduates to work as a secretariat in them or as a case counsel. The next advice is obviously working with with one arbitrator, which I am pursuing. That allows you to focus and learn from one single person a lot. And as I have summed up what my work scope is when you're working with an arbitrator, you will be required to help him technically, and you will be required to help him with each case by briefing him or researching for him. Another upcoming opportunity that is recognized internationally currently is there are a lot of legal tech options open. There is one of the popular platform known as Juris Mundi. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it is a Paris-based company that works in providing assistance to arbitration proceedings. And just like SEC and Manu Patra, provides a database for arbitration cases. However, arbitration cases can be confidential, so we are still not sure how many more legal tech companies will come up. But that is one option that is open for a lot of upcoming lawyers now. Last option I would say is there are few corporates that have a lot of arbitration cases going on. In one of my jobs, there was a corporate client who has a lot of arbitrations going on, about 100 to 200 cases of arbitration going on. So for someone who probably does not want to enter the litigation or dispute resolution field can also consider working for a corporate, because nowadays almost commercial disputes are resolved through arbitration. So corporates have a lot of arbitration work going on, and that way you can learn a lot regarding the basics of arbitration and drafting related skills for arbitration.
It has been seen that litigation often results in certain kinds of hardships if you do not have any kind of past reference or no. So, why arbitration as a career is preferred over litigation in India?
So let's. I won't get into the details of why arbitration can be considered better than litigation, but I can give you my experience in basically in why parties and lawyers are now choosing to have a practice focusing on arbitration. So now, as you know, India is trying to become a global hub for arbitration. There are a lot of amendments coming in and a lot of policies coming in to do so. And to be honest, there is a gap right now in the number of lawyers focusing their practice on arbitration, which needs to be filled. That is one reason that a lot of lawyers today are focusing their practice on arbitration. Secondly, as we spoke about party autonomy in arbitration matters, parties now have so much many more rights as compared to litigation and arbitration to make the proceeding more convenient for them. They can choose the time of their proceedings or the place of their proceeding as per their agreement, or they can decide who will adjudicate the dispute between them, and they can appoint a person who is not from a legal background but who is an expert in the subject matter of the dispute. So all these reasons have resulted in arbitration becoming popular through every year now. And I believe in various years to come, it is going to get more popular, and there is a need to fill this gap of lack of lawyers specializing in arbitration law.
Any tips you want to give to the aspiring students, or anything you want to add on?
One foremost tip I can give from my experience is start early. Don't wait for your college to end, or don't wait for you to get in the final year and then maybe pursue something or pursue a course related to arbitration. I would suggest start early. If you're in your second year, don't I'm not suggesting just start working with an arbitrator throughout the year and not give enough importance to your studies, but start focusing, start reading judgments, start maybe pursuing an online course, a 1 month course on arbitration, or start writing, as I said. So start early. That will always benefit you, and always that will always help you. One thing that I would say that I made a mistake was I did not connect with enough people in my law school. I was hesitant to do so because I thought that as a law student, I am not well equipped and well aware with the current scenario of law. And I was perhaps embarrassed to speak to them because I thought that maybe they'll ask me something that I wouldn't know. So don't hesitate. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will help you. So start early, start reading, read as many judgments as you can. Arbitration, judiciary has a lot to give to arbitration law right now. Every month you will see a landmark judgment coming these days. So start reading, and reading a judgment will definitely help you once you start working. uh, the next advice would be to write, of course, write articles, and consider pursuing a master's, maybe not right after your college. Maybe work for a while just to be sure that you're interested in this field, as masters require a huge amount of investment of time and money. So a master's in arbitration will definitely help you. And besides that, start taking up courses, whether a free course or or a paid course. That does not matter. Still, it is teaching you. And one advice that I would give that I have seen in the past year is don't pursue internships just to get a certificate for that. That will never help you. And from my experience and from what I have seen is having more memberships and more internships in your CV will never put you in a better place for an employee or for a master's, for example. So look at the internship that you'll be pursuing and try to make sure that you learn from it and not just do it for the sake of a certificate or just for the sake of completing it.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. It was such an enlightening session with you. Thank you so much, sir.
Like, it was nice speaking with you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day, sir.
You too.